Thanks, everybody. Thanks. Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Ricky Kemmler. Our next guest is, in many ways, an actor's actor. He's a versatile theater actor, leading man, supporting player. You've seen him in shows like Patriot, Easy, Orange is the New Black. And now you can see Michael Chernus alongside Edie Falco in CBS's Tommy. Please put your hands together one more time for Michael Chernus. Let's hear it.
Thanks, everybody. What's up?
Thanks so much for being here, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I'm a huge fan of your work. You're
thank you.
The type of actor who, when you suddenly show up in something, I go, oh, right, yes.
That guy.
This scene is going to be better.
Oh, thanks.
You
should come here more often.
Come here all the time. You've been at this for some time. How long have you been acting?
A long, long time. I graduated from drama school in 1999, okay. But the first acting I ever did was in a school play. In the 8th grade, I was in a stage adaptation of The Hobbit, and I played Gandalf, the wizard. So, you know, it's all downhill from there.
Did you have like a big fake beard and stuff?
I had a huge fake beard. I had a huge, long, fake white beard and like a Halloween wizard costume. Like, it was like a purple robe and like a big purple hat. And I thought I looked so badass and like a walking stick. My dad always quoted my first line in it. My dad, he's sort of like, he's like a old school kind of man's man. He's like a hunter and a fisherman. And so
where are you from?
I'm from the suburbs of Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay.
And but supposedly he was very moved when I first stepped on stage and was like brought to tears. And
I love it.
Yeah. And my first line was, "Ah, the Shire. How delicious the morning is in this part of the world. The air is stuffed with comfort." And still remember it verbatim. And my dad would come down to like breakfast for weeks after that and go like, "Ah, the Shire. Ah, the Shire." So it became this thing between us. And then years later, I brought like a girlfriend home from the city for like the holidays. And I was like, well, you got to see where it all started, the Shire. And this scrawny 12, 13-year-old kid walks out on stage in the Halloween outfit. And I was like, "Ah, the Shire. How delicious the morning is in this part of the world. The air is stuffed with comfort." Just voice cracking, and it's just completely humiliating.
That's amazing that he got so emotional when you came on stage.
Yeah.
There's something special if you have a father like that, like that probably doesn't show emotion. I have a similar father, Hunter, blue collar guy, you know, like who, when emotion is shown or there's that proud, prideful moment that you catch in his eyes, you're like, oh, I did something really special, didn't I?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was that's why I'm an actor. I mean, getting
one moment, Dad was
still chasing it.
We found it. Yeah, that was your original high.
Yeah, oh, totally. It's like lightning up the back of your spine. It's no, I think, you know, and I was kind of a kid who I didn't have like a social circle in junior high school, like you know, athletics were the thing in my school, and I wasn't super athletic, and I feel like I found a community when I found the theater. I found my purpose. I found like an identity, and I found a productive way to spend my time. And so it was that, all joking aside, it was like I found my place very early, and I'm super grateful for that.
Do you now tell directors when you do a good take to say, "Ah, the Shire"?
Yeah. It's built into a contract.
Give you that
dopamine
rush.
Yep. It's like a treat to a dog. Yeah.
You say you found your community in theater. Do you still, even though you know you're on a show on Tommy, you've done movies, you've done other TV shows. Do you still feel mostly connected to the theater? Is that your first home?
It is absolutely my first home and my first love, and everything that I know about acting I learned through working on plays, and I feel like I use skills and techniques that I learned in drama school every day on set.
Why is that? What is it about reading and studying plays that makes somebody a better actor?
I think a love of language is essential and is such a key component to being an actor. I think, you know, a love of story, an understanding of how story works, a respect for writers. I also think there's like that 10,000 hours kind of thing of just like, once you've put in a lot of time seeing theater, reading plays, being around storytellers, it just kind of becomes part of your DNA and the way that you think about life. I also like being in front of an audience teaches you so much. You learn about what people care about. You learn about like how rhythm works. Telling a joke in a vacuum is a horrible thing. Like on set, the crew can't laugh, and so you have a punchline on a show if it's a comedy, and it just falls flat. And I miss that electric high of having an audience. And yeah.
Do you find that doing television, doing movies is so you can often go back and are you thinking often about getting the chance to find a play to do or going back and doing theater?
I am. I think I've been spoiled by having so many extraordinary experiences in the theater that now I'm like incredibly choosy. Not in a like what will it do for my career kind of way, but more if I'm going to put in that kind of time and effort to do 8 shows a week and really commit my life to this thing, it has to be special. It has to be with people that I really want to work with and a story that I want to tell. And so I'm always looking for that next thing, but it's also hard with a television schedule. There's just no room.
Oh yeah, you guys are mid-season right now, so you're going to do 12 episodes, something like that?
We're actually finished shooting. It's airing
are?
now, but we've all 12 are in the can.
Right. And if you get picked up for a second season, have you gotten picked up?
We haven't yet.
If you get picked up, will you be doing 12 again, or is it going to be like 24?
I don't know. I don't know what CBS's plan for it is. I know early on I had heard that Edie didn't want to do a full, 24 episodes or whatever, like a long.
Good for her.
Yeah. Good for all of us. I mean, I feel like storytelling is changing. It's like with also the advent of like the streaming services, we consume story in a different way. And so I think there's just so much more the creatives can do when you're not obligated to make, 22, 24 episodes.
And 24-hour-long episodes is extremely long for a viewer on a streaming service. I mean, I think I could only do like 30 Rock in 22 episodes or something because it's 20 minutes long, it's very digestible and it's funny. But if you gave me even my favorite drama that's 1 hour long, like a 22 episode season of The Wire, I'd be like, absolutely not.
I know.
I can't do this.
There are so many like great TV shows that I just can't even invest in. I never saw them in the beginning. Like I've never seen an episode of Breaking Bad. And at this point I'm just like, it's too much effort.
I'll say something controversial. You're fine.
Yeah. You're not the first to have said that. No, but like there's just so much content out there that the idea of having, 7, 8 seasons of something to have to sit through it's work. Yeah.
You said you had so many extraordinary experiences in the theater early on. What are some of those?
I went to school at the Juilliard School, and there's the drama division, which has acting students and playwrights. And so a lot of my friends, when I was 18, 19, 20 years old, were writers. And so...
You were an undergrad at Juilliard?
I was, yeah. It's sort of, you can be an undergrad or a master's student, but you're all in the same pool. You're all in the same program. So, yeah, there were 7 of us who were 18 and right out of high school. And then the oldest person in our class when we started was 32, which is such a wild experience, too, to be an 18-year-old kid. And you're like, oh, hello, fellow peer who is an adult and has lived
got a divorce. And
just got a divorce. I just started growing hair on my face, friend.
To me when you've lived.
Right. So a lot of those playwrights that I went to school with, when we got out of school, were struggling playwrights, and I was a struggling actor, and so we would do readings of their plays, and sometimes like in each other's apartments, and I just got to know a lot of these extraordinary writers at the ground level, and I was in a lot of Adam Rapp's early work. He was at school when I was there. Jessica Goldberg, David Lindsay Abaire, Brooke Berman. So I felt really lucky to be just tapped into this community of artists in New York. And from there, that expanded. And I was in the original production of an Annie Baker play called The Aliens. I was in a lot of Noah Heidel's early work. So, yeah.
I mean, that must have been so influential or helpful for your career in the sense that you happen to tap into all of these playwrights that other creatives and other, I guess you could say industry people are excited about and going to see at a certain stage in their career.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like I can track a lot of my television work to, so like a lot of people that I worked with as playwrights then went on to writers to write for TV shows and be on staff for a lot of shows. And so that's actually how I got on Orange is the New Black. It was like some playwrights I know were on the original writing team for that. I guess the story was they were creating this character to be Piper's brother. Like, he should look sort of like a hippie who lives in the woods. And I used to have really long hair and a long beard. And someone just like put my photo on this idea board that they had. Not like as you should cast this guy, but like, look at this hippie.
Like, this is the character.
Yeah, like someone like this, like a fish man, and I was there, and everyone was like, yeah, that guy. And eventually, I think when they came to casting, whoever it was like, well, that guy's actually an actor too. And so a lot of my career has worked that way. It hasn't been through like, I certainly have auditioned for a ton of things, but like a lot of it is just stuff that's like happened through connections, and not connections in like a cheesy schmoozy networky way, but like,
You worked with people, and those people were like, he's great, we should hire him to do this too.
yes, that. And I also, when I talk to like young actors, I think a good chunk of this business is just like being a good person and like being someone that people want to spend a lot of time with, because you end up spending so much time in intimate ways with people that it's just awful if someone's a jerk, you know? And so
Have you ever had that? No, not.
oh yeah,
don't
I
have to
mean, it
mention
happens
names.
all the time. And I don't mean that to sound like boastful, like I'm some great person, but it's just like, if you're someone who cares about the work and shows up and is generous, and I feel like eventually things kind of, you know, it's karma, like things find.
I honestly feel like as a discernible viewer, you can kind of tell who those people are by
Interesting.
their career choices, who casts them, how
Yeah.
often they're cast. Like, one of the reasons that I was excited that you were coming in is because I got that sense from your work
Cool,
and
that's
how
a
you
huge
get
compliment.
like how people cast you and what they cast you as and who casts you.
Right.
You seem like someone that it's like no one is being like, no producer's being like, I don't know about Michael, he can be really tough.
There's probably someone out there, but no, yeah, I just feel so lucky still to be able to do this. I mean, it's like I play pretend for a living. I mean, anybody who shows up to work and is like, ugh, you know, the catering wasn't so great today. It's like, shut up. Do you realize what you're getting to do with your life? Like, so I'm still so like, I'm still the kid saying, oh, the Shire. You know, I'm just so stoked to be there every day.
Did you have when you went to drama school, when you went to Juilliard, did you have taste in terms of what was great theater and who great playwrights were, or did you find you were just gravitating towards who was making work, and then that ended up developing your taste?
That's a good question. I mean, I think my taste was limited because I hadn't seen a ton of theater. I grew up, I studied at a children's theater school in Cleveland. So I did plays at like my high school, but then on the weekends I would take classes, and it was kids from all over the greater Cleveland area, but it was children's theater. We would do like Hansel and Gretel and Alice in Wonderland. And in the summer there was like a teen course, and there was this guy who had gone to Juilliard who would come back in the summers from New York and teach. And he introduced me like the plays of like Sam Shepard and Eugene O'Neill, and
That's when the man comes out,
right.
The male actor,
Right. But even then, it was still very like, you know, straight white male, like kind of centric stuff. And but even then, like reading some of those plays, it like blew my mind. I was like, what is this? Buried Child? This is crazy. And it was sort of like he was like this dealer, you know. It's like, hey man, here you go, like, you know, the
you were like
first
16,
one's free.
17.
Yeah, like 15. I mean, I was doing stuff I had no idea. Like, I remember I played John Proctor in The Crucible when I was like 15, and I didn't know what adultery was, but I had to like say it over and over in the play, and I was like, I think I know what that is, but I don't know. Has something to do with marriage. So like I was doing material that I had no actual understanding of.
Those people are so important in the development of like a young person's taste. It's like the adult that is kind of like, check this out. Listen,
Absolutely.
check out this band. We'll go watch Taxi Driver or something.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
go tell
yeah.
your parents I told you to watch Taxi Driver.
Right.
Yeah.
This is like a very tame version of that, but my aunt and uncle, when I was like 13, took me to my first concert ever, and it was a Peter, Paul, and Mary concert at this outdoor theater in Ohio, but it was the first time I ever saw a joint being passed. It was like during Puff the Magic Dragon, and I was like, what is that? What's that
Did
smell?
they tell you what it was? Was it them?
No, it was not them. But I remember just being like, oh, wow, okay, there's this whole other world that I don't Yeah, those people who introduce you to things.
Did you end up having to audition for Orange is the New Black, or were they just like, you're the
No,
guy?
but it was like that role was one line in the pilot.
Oh, okay.
And so they offered it to me, and I remember thinking, what is this? Like, is this going to be a webisode? Is this like, what do you mean Netflix is a streaming show? There was no concept of that. It was like that and House of Cards were the first streaming shows. So I remember being like, I know people involved, I'll take a chance on it. And I had played Taylor Schilling's brother on another show, on this NBC hospital drama called Mercy.
Oh yeah, the one that shot in Jersey, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I knew Taylor was involved, and I said yes, but I had no concept of what it would become.
And it became a character for a number of seasons.
Yeah, I'm in it through the end of the last season. I'm not always on it, but I pop up here and there throughout all the years.
That's still a great gig.
Yeah, it's actually sort of the best gig because you don't get sick of it.
And you were in Easy, Joe Swanberg's Netflix show, which I love. And I loved your episodes of it. What was it like doing that? Had you done anything that improvisational before? And
I had never done anything that improvisational before, but that is like one of my favorite experiences in my entire career. I'm super proud of that show. The actress who I play husband to her character, Elizabeth Reeser.
love her.
Love her. We were actually classmates at Juilliard. And we were very close at school.
Oh, that's right. I feel like I talked to her about this, and she
Oh,
brought
really?
up how exciting it was to do this, do that episode with you because of how close the two of you were.
It was crazy. We had all of this baked in history and chemistry, but we never had like a sexual vibe ever at school. We were always cast as brother and sister. So the couple on the show is a longtime married couple that has no mojo anymore. And so that was very existing already between the two of us. And we had all this trust kind of baked in. But we were cast independently. I had no idea she was doing it, and she had no idea that I was going to do it. And so, yeah, that was just like a gift from the sky that she was a part of it. And Joe's so incredible and trusted us so much to help create those characters. It wasn't just that the dialogue was improvised. We all crafted that storyline together over those 3 seasons.
How does that work? Is that like you're meeting up off set, you're emailing each other to talk about where it goes, or is it really like you get to set and you figure out what the scene is and then go
We
from
would
there?
Skype a lot or talk on the phone. Joe lives in Chicago and Reeser lives in LA and I live here in New York. And so it was a lot of like phone calls and Skype sessions. And I mean, Joe would kind of come up with a basic outline for an episode, and then he would say like, what are you thinking? What do you think is going on with these characters right now? I wish that show had had a longer life, because his goal was to eventually do like 20 seasons, and basically you pop in with these characters once over the course of every year, sort of like a Boyhood kind of thing, where like, oh, that's where they were year 8 into this thing. And but yeah, I loved what we were exploring about open marriages and just the complexity of being in a committed relationship in this time, in this day and age.
Had you ever done anything that collaborative before?
No, not in that way. I like I said, coming from the theater, you sort of feel like the writer is the god, and you don't dare touch a word. And this was this experience where Joe was like, "Yeah, you make it up." There's a scene at the end of our last episode that is a 20-minute conversation between my character and Reeser's character in a bar, and that was completely improvised, and it was one take. It was just this long 25-minute take. I think he did some internal cuts here and there, just where there were redundancies in the conversation. But no, it was. I mean, his trust in us was crazy.
Did you think that you, prior to doing that, had the chops to be able to tell a story that way as an actor?
I don't think I had that actual thought, but I think I knew. It was terrifying, but I think I knew. I think I can do this. That sense. It's different. It's not like Second City style comedy improv. You're doing long form, sort of dramatic, narrative improv, and so there wasn't a huge. I didn't have a lot of stuff to base it on. I was like, I guess we're just gonna leap and see if the net appears. Yeah.
We haven't talked that much about Tommy.
I know.
But let's. What is it like to work with, the the god, Edie Falco,
Edie's
national treasure.
She's the best. She's so good. It's hard to talk about without sounding just sort of like you're using cheesy, sort of sayings, the hackneyed sort of platitudes. But she's incredible. She's so wonderful. She's so generous. She's so prepared. She's such a pro, but she's also so nice. Having her as the lead of the show, it just sets this tone. It sets the bar, and no one can be a jerk. No one can be an asshole. It's like you. She's so giving, and she's incredible. I only have the best things to say about her.
But she also seems fairly focused, so like nobody could be that way around her because she would notice it and be like, "Stop." That's how I imagine Edie Falco.
There's some of that, but she's also really playful. Like, and when you're making a show, especially a show with like a lot of language like this, people mess up all the time. Like, we all blow takes, and she's the first to laugh at herself. She makes it really comfortable. Like, you don't feel like.
Oh yeah, I don't mean stopping joking around. I mean stopping if anyone's acting like a jerk or if anyone's.
Oh, I see. Yeah, no, she wouldn't suffer a fool. Yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
She's got a great sense of humor. I've talked to her. She's
totally.
a very fun person.
Right.
We have time for a couple questions from the audience. The first one is from Tegan.
Hi. First of all, good to see you. And in your career, what has been your most favorite scene to film?
Oh my God, that's such a great question. Probably I'm in the movie Men in Black 3 for a minute. And there's a scene on the top of the Chrysler building where I'm trying to convince Will Smith's character to jump off. And he has this like time machine device that my character gave him. And we had a mini replica of the top of the Chrysler building in a soundstage in Brooklyn. And it was still quite high. I mean, we were probably 30, 40 feet off the ground. We were harnessed in. And we had to stand out. There were these like griffin heads on the top of the Chrysler building, and we had to stand out on the edge of this thing. And it's all this sort of made up Men in Black kind of alien gobbledygook. And we had rehearsed it a bunch. And I get out on the edge for the first take, and there's like 200 crew members down below, and I couldn't remember a word. Like, not only I didn't know who I was. Like, I got up there and it was just like time stopped. And I think I said, I'm sorry. And the director was like, cut.
Was it Sonnenfeld?
Yeah, Barry Sonnenfeld. And we go back to our starting position. And Will was so awesome. He was like, don't worry. We make movies in pieces. We're going to be here all day. And I still say that all the time on set when anyone gets flustered. I'm like, we make movies in pieces. We're here all day. He was so nice to me.
Was that one of your first sort of big parts? I mean, not a big part, but a big production?
It was my first big memorable moment in a big movie that had a big audience. And so when you talk about breaks for actors, for most actors, it happens very slowly over time and you don't see all the little things. And then there's the moment that the public becomes aware of them. I feel like I had a bunch of those little breaks, nice little character parts in big movies. Yeah. But that was one of the first, for sure.
That was one of the first, and you found yourself, blowing it is maybe the...
Blowing it, really blowing it.
And what did that... I mean, really what did... Because for an actor, that's there's the studio here, there's Will Smith here, there's this big director. They're not going to hire... am I going to get hired again after this? Are they going to fire me right now? Did you have all of those feelings in that moment?
All of those things flash through your mind. It's oh, no... yeah, I've blown it, but also you're they're probably not going to fire me, but I've also just ruined any chance of a rapport that I had with Will. I think I was saying earlier, so much of it is just feeling the vibe with the other people on set, and you want to feel good about each other, and you want to trust the other actor. And when someone goes out there and forgets who they are, you're like, uh-oh.
Was it the heights that made you forget who you were, or was it just...
That's generous. You're so kind. It was not the heights. I think it was the size of the moment hit me. I think I was like, oh my God, this is a big movie. This is a big movie star. And I'm Mike Chernus from The Hobbit in Rocky River, Ohio. And I don't know what I'm,
We'll just say
I don't know what
Shire.
I'm doing.
Call me Shire.
But I still feel that way all the time. Like I have this mix of like confidence of I went to Juilliard and I know how to do this, and then also I'm suspicious of anyone who doesn't get nervous.
Yeah.
You know, like especially doing something creative in front of people. Like you're putting yourself out there, and if you don't sometimes flop and fall on your face, then I don't know, you're some weird robot that is always hitting it out of the park.
Yeah, I feel like for most people, one of the major points of putting yourself out there as a creative person is to experience that feeling of nervousness consistently. To constantly feel kind of on the edge of your seat about everything that you're doing.
Yeah, because then you know you're alive. Like, I was terrified to come here and talk to you. I mean, it's all like... But no, I mean, it's incredibly, like, how often, most of the time we walk around in these shells. Like, you know, it's like we're bundled up and trying to avoid, you know, contact with each other. You know, it's like, I'll have a coffee, please, thank you. And like to open yourself up and say, like, this is who I am, and this is where I'm from, and these are the times I felt good about myself, and these are the times when I don't like myself. It's like, it's scary, but it's the pushing yourself to keep doing that I feel like enriches your life and makes you a better person.
Well, nothing feels better than having finished or accomplished something that you were afraid of doing prior. You know, it's like
doing hard things.
When you finished the scene with Will and Men in Black 3, what did that feel like?
Oh, it was great. I'm sure he wouldn't even remember that moment. I mean, like he was so lovely. I mean, he was such a cheerleader of that show. Like he would come on set and he'd be like, all right, Men in Black 3, MIB 3, here we go. We got Big Mike over here. We're going to do, like, call me Big Mike. And before every take, he'd be like, this one's for our grandkids, Mike. And, like, he was just so that kind of, he didn't have to even give me the time of day. He was a huge star. But, like, the fact that he was that, like I said, I'm sure he doesn't even remember that I messed up because he's not that kind of guy. He's so giving.
Yeah. One more question from the audience. This one's from Denise.
Yes. Hi, Mike.
Hi,
How
Denise.
are you?
Good.
Thanks for being here and sharing. My question is, do you have a favorite moment from working on set of Orange is the New Black?
Oh, wow. So the first season of Orange is the New Black, I have a scene outside of my like weird little woodsy trailer with Jason Biggs' character. I think it's the first time we ever met. He plays Piper's husband. And Jodie Foster was directing that episode. Yeah. And I say something to him about edging and how I believe that John Lennon wrote the song Imagine because he kept his seed inside. And Jodie Foster was like, no, like grab Jason when you do that. I was like, like try to? And she's like, no, like go and grab him when you say that thing about John Lennon writing Imagine from that spot. And I was like, oh, no.
Was Jason in on that conversation, or was that like, so let's surprise Jason?
There was no consent at all.
Right?
No.
Oh, that's not what
no,
I mean by it. I mean,
no,
like, okay.
I'm sorry. No, I'm sure he knew. I don't remember. I think he knew. Yeah.
Let's just, we'll go
say
with
he knew.
Yeah. When you did it work when you did the scene? Like, was it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a funny moment. I don't even remember if I ever like fully grabbed him. I think it was that kind of thing where it was a great piece of direction because it threw him off center. Like it was sort of a surprise for the character, and it shook the scene up a little bit. Yeah.
What was it like? Was that a moment in your career like, whoa, I'm being directed by Jodie Foster?
Oh yeah, another. I mean, it was crazy. It was. She's so wonderful though that you kind of forget. You never forget who she is, but her director persona is so dialed into just the story, and she's so smart. She's so good.
Michael, man, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Such a pleasure.
Tommy's on CBS. What nights?
Yeah, Thursday nights at 10 p.m.
Thursday nights at 10, and it's a wonderful show. And you're fantastic.
I'm really proud of
Incredible
it.
cast.
Please check it out. Yeah.
Michael Chernus, everybody. Let's hear it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.